Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning into my channel. As always, I do have Valentino beside me, so he'll be popping in and out on the screen, you know. So now this is a really interesting week. I'm going to talk about the 9th to the 15th of May. Now, this can be a very like a sacred week for you because I want you to pay attention, especially because you're going to get messages in many different ways from your loved ones who have passed on. So it can be easier for them to come into dream forms. So if you have a dream about like a pet that has passed on, a loved one this week, please know it's them because it's going to come in. It's going to happen for you. They could come in on songs. So if you're hearing a song that reminds you of them, or if there's like, let's say something you're going through, and then all of a sudden you hear a song about it, you can be like, oh my gosh, wow, that pay attention. So there's going to be a lot of signs happening this week for you, just to let you know what, you're not alone. We are with you. It's when we go through hard times, we're like, oh my gosh, I feel alone. And you can have like 100 million people around you, let's say, but you can still feel alone. I have my little buddy here, Valentino, if his face pops in again. Oh, there he is. He pops in and out. So how really fitting, actually, when you look at the messages this week. So we have Pluto retrograde that started on the 6th of May. So this is going to happen and go through until the 15th of October. It's during this time you're going to go through such a huge transformation, seriously huge. You're going to be like, by the time October comes around, you're going to be so different. You know, really pay attention to what you're pulled towards right now, especially with big changes. A lot of you are making big changes, let's say to move away, like somewhere more long distance. You're making like drastic huge changes. Maybe you're building a house. Maybe you're doing a huge health routine makeover. You're going to change your lifestyle that more so suits where you're at and at your vibrational frequency. So pay attention, and you've already seen it. You know what I mean? And when we have to let certain people go, jobs go, whatever it is, you feel it so strong that you cannot keep yourself involved with it. How many of you are going through that even more so now? You've been getting signs for a while, that hold of, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. That's right. There's a lot of karmic relationships that are ending. That's been going on for a while, but you have shown and they have shown what's just not working between you. It's like, wow, this isn't going to work for whatever reasons. So you're also going to be breaking karmic cycles. If it's with like habits, if it's with, I don't want to keep on repeating these past patterns or the way I used to do things. It's not working. So you're going to be letting go of a lot, and you're going to be more authentic. You should be authentic anyways, but some people hold back who they are. They'll be like, geez, I don't know. Oh my gosh, this person or my job might not accept me, because if I act who I am, they might not. Well, enough of that bullshit. Why would you act and be somebody you're not? So you're going to find that you're speaking out more. It's like, this is who I am. That's just not what I want. So you're really going to see also a certain like wounds that have kept you stuck. If it's patterns, if it's toxic relationships, it's going to be like, yeah, we used to settle for this and this and that, but I can't do it anymore. I thought that's what I wanted. So a lot of truths have come out. That's going to continue going on and on and on. So this is a huge transformational shift, and make sure you forgive yourself. We all say and do things that we're like, oh my gosh, right? Learn to forgive yourself. Learn to forgive yourself, show more compassion to yourself. Whenever we go through a lot, we can say things and rash out and towards other people. It happens, and because we can get so overwhelmed with so many things, but you have to set more boundaries and such like that. You're also going to see this week certain people around you that have been really draining you. You can be like, I can't do this anymore. I can't spend on the phone for 5 hours with this person listening to them. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to be making these changes automatically because you're not going to be able to handle it. Like sometimes we get to that degree, I can't do this anymore. Like, oh my gosh, right? Of course. We all have our breaking points. So this is what's happening. It's like take a look at like a big iceberg, let's say, and you've been chipping it away. You're like, I don't want that big iceberg that's in the way. I can't move around that. Okay, well, here's an ice pick. How am I gonna? Here's the ice pick. Let's start picking away at it. So that's what you have been doing for quite some time, actually. That started a while back, especially in 2025. So this is why 2026, you're just moving on with a lot of different things because 2027, you're going to be placed where you're supposed to be placed, even in more of a huge way. So don't ignore these signs, what's happening. You could all of a sudden look at a picture, you could see it like a movie or read something and just tears. Even last night I have pictures of all my dogs, of course, throughout the years, and I have it in my bedroom. And even last night I was sitting back with little Valentino. We were, watching Netflix and there's a picture. I have pictures of me and my dog, like of all my dogs on my wall. Call it the family room. I have pictures all over, of course, but I have my big pictures of my dogs in my bedroom. So there was a picture of me and Nikita, one of my rescues. I rescued her underneath a tractor, and she was a Chihuahua Pekingese. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I had to take her in, get surgery, and oh my gosh. And there's I love this picture of her and me together. And I was just looking at it, staring at it, and communicating with her because I'm also an animal communicator. And I just had tears coming down. I miss her, and then I started feeling her walking on the bed. Right? You can feel when like your animals or even a loved one is sitting down on your bed because you can feel, oh, I felt my bed move. Yes, don't ignore that. But it's these certain memories that you're going to have these flashbacks over, especially this week. So even again, your loved ones, or maybe like Nikita, let's say she could all of a sudden come into a dream, right? He's sitting right beside me, but the screen doesn't show. Oh, there he is. He comes in and he comes out. He's literally right beside me. So, oh, here he comes. So I don't know what Zoom is going to show, you know? So so it's interesting. I just sit in and out and we're talking about the loved ones. Oh, how cool, right? So May 9th and 10th, you're going to see that you're going to feel a little bit more grounded. Your intuition is going to be stronger. How many of you have noticed that your intuition has been getting stronger and stronger and stronger? So you're going to be showing more things like past patterns. Let's say, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of like a pattern of this, or I got to change my routine with that. So you're going to be shown what has caused delays or what has stopped certain things from moving forward because of certain routines or patterns or whatever, but it could trigger you. You could get emotional about it. Like Earth is the hardest planet. This is where we go through lessons and such. Nobody's perfect and so on. So you're going to get pulled, really start making changes, even little changes, for goodness sakes, like I used to have, like I have like large cups of coffee and I consider it one cup. Benny, that's a lot of coffee. It's one cup. See, I have it one container. So I'm like, okay, it's actually coffee starting to get to me. I can't drink as much as what I'd normally do. So I've actually cut back on that, which it's just kind of an automatic thing. Yes, I still have my coffee, but I'm finding that it's not like where it used to be, so automatic things are going to be coming. So you're going to find that, I just kind of feel out of sorts. Self-love and self-care you're going to want to find on the 9th and the 10th because you're seeing more clarity with people and situations and what has been shown to you for quite some time, especially with red flags, so make sure you treat yourself to something, like I've been like giving stuff away and donating stuff and all of those things and changing things around. And I came across this canvas, this painting that I saw, and I'm like, oh my God, no, Jenny, you don't need that. So it went on. And then I'm like, a couple of days later, went back to the store just to get Valentino something. And I'm like, oh, I really want it. I couldn't find it. And I got, oh, so the next day I went driving around to all of the stores, Winners, Home Sense, Marshalls across the city. I couldn't find it. You snooze, you lose. I kept on saying to myself, you snooze, you lose. But you know what I'm saying? You're going to get pulled to certain things, right? So it's like certain things that are reminding me or can trigger me, let's say, from my past. I'm saying this for a reason. You might want to donate it and give it away, and bring in new things, right? So pay attention to that because it will happen. If it's certain colors, if it's certain ways you want to do things, like I always give tons of stuff away. Like the amount of things that I have given away for free and donated, I could have had a down payment on a home. Right. I even donated my Wolfhound van after McTavish passed. I donated it, you know. So, and I'm like, Jenny, you could have had like a down payment on a home. But there's other people out there who need certain things. So, but anyways, maybe the universe will bless me with all of that one day. Who knows? But you know what I'm saying. So the 11th and the 12th of May, you're going to find that you're going to start new things. You could be working on home projects. You could be working on other creative projects. You could be like, I'm creating a whole new routine, a whole new workout. I'm creating new, because we're moving towards that new moon like the 16th and 17th. I mean, that will be the next video. But the newness in this week right now, you're going to pay attention to that. So you're going to have more focus on long-term goals right now. Those certain dreams and goals right now that you're looking at, they're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, we all have goals. I mean, I have big goals and short-term goals and stuff. And one of my big goals, I keep on, oh, abracadabra. I wished I was there right now. I can tell you that. But, so you're going to get that stronger and stronger and stronger because you're going to end up where you're supposed to be, as I said, in 2027. No matter if it's a job, if it's a move, if it's a relationship, like it's going to be something more big. It's not going to be just like, oh yeah, we changed the wallpaper just on that wall. No, right? Something really big. So you could start to feel, I'm getting more clarity right now. I know it's not today. I want it this way and I want it that way. Yes, take your time, really focus on that. So you could get that little emotional trigger again right now as well. So this is why treat yourself to maybe a spa day, get yourself like a pedicure, like whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? We all have different things. Maybe sit back, watch a movie, like whatever it is. Treat yourself every now and then to do certain things for you. Maybe somebody's like, I'm just going to sit back and have a glass of wine. It's been, oh my gosh, forever since I've done that. Or, you know what I'm saying, right? So as we move into the 11th and the 12th, you're going to even see, it's stronger. We just talked about that right now, but I keep hearing the 11th and the 12th. So that's why I repeated it again. So really pay attention to that date, like what you're really, focused on. Look at the future. Where do you see yourself? What do you want? You're going to be more determined right now, more determined, right? So even that picture, let's say, that canvas I wanted, it's like, you know what? The money you're going to spend on that, you could actually put it away to where you're going and where your goal is taking you towards. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. but I actually might go to Home Sense and see if I can find that today. I might, but I went to all of them. But anyways, there's meanings for when we get pulled and drawn to certain things. So if you find yourself getting drawn to something specifically, um, pay attention to what it that means to you, what it is. If you don't know what the spiritual meaning is, like, what I was drawn to, the canvas I saw was of a Highland cow. There's a lot of canvases of it, and even at Home Sense, but this one specifically, you know. So I Googled it actually, and I'm like, oh, that's why. That makes perfect sense why I was drawn to that specific cow with the background it had, and so on and so on. And I'm like, that's very interesting with the direction I'm going towards. So pay attention to that. If it's like maybe you're drawn to travel somewhere, it could be a past life for you. It could be a past life experience for you that you're getting pulled towards. Your loved ones could come into your dreams, as I mentioned, and it will be like they could possibly even come into your dreams around the 13th and 14th, more so this week. So really look back on the past 2 months. I heard January for some reason. So we're going to start at January. January really circled for someone. So if something happened more so in January, where you started something big and major, you could be seeing those results now. So especially the past couple of months, really look at what you started. You could be seeing those results now. Like my website finally went up end of March. A lot of work. So make sure if you want to book, go to soulworkwithjennyg.com. My old website is gone. So I created a whole new one and such like that, which is very exhausting, but it was long overdue. Right. So pay attention with what inspires you during this time. What you're, you know, what are you visioning for yourself even more? You're going to be a lot more creative. You could get more back into your art. You could get very much into your music, like your creative side. We're kind of in spring where I'm at. So, spring cleaning, as I call it, right? Oh, we don't need all of these things. So you're going to find you're going to be decluttering even more and more and more. So you're going to see more so what's important to you. All of a sudden you could be really spontaneous of, I don't want any of this stuff. None of it. You're letting go. That's the old. The new is really going to pull to you. You're going to see signs more so towards your future, your destiny, where you're going. Because what you're doing on a day-to-day basis right now is where your future is taking you towards. What you do on a day-to-day basis, you will see it even more. Make even little changes. So you could become a lot more optimistic right now. I've been getting drawn back into do my paintings. I do, artwork on canvases. I'm not no pro by any means. I threw out tons of paintings I did when I was moving. I'm like, I don't need this. I kept a couple that, um, you know, that means a lot to me that I painted. I actually sold one, and I've given paintings away, and so on and so on. So just really pay attention to your creative projects more so, whatever it is. Like I have a friend of mine that has a very old car, and he's had it forever, and he's fixing it up completely. He's had it for quite some time, and he's like, I'm going to take this old car. I think it's back from the 40s. He's like, I'm going to fix it up all brand new. And I'm like, wow, like that's very cool. I love this vehicle. I don't know what make it is, but I'm like, that's very cool. It looks like kind of Bonnie and Clyde type vehicle. So let me know when it's done. But he's like, I'm so passionate about that now. Follow your passions, because that can totally take you towards your destiny and your future and your purpose. So as we move into the 15th, you could be a little bit more emotional and so on, because we have that new moon in Taurus, like coming up right there on the 16th, new moon. This is a super new moon. Big difference. There's super new moons, full new moons, back to back to back. That's going to be happening here. Those are super big. That's why I usually call it super duper. So you very well could be more focused on your health, more health conscious, body, mind, and spirit, inside and out. Like I started with smoothies quite some time ago every morning. I love my smoothies. I just kind of make a few different kinds, whatever I get drawn to and pulled towards and such like that. So, you're going to be catching up with things you're behind on. You're going to prioritize certain things. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. And like I do my book work month to month and then year end, and then I give everything to my accountant, of course, during tax time. But if you're behind in your books, you might find that this is the day you're going to catch up with it, or certain things. Oh my God, I got all of these running arounds to do, or I have to do this, or I have to catch up with message, like whatever it is. You could find that this is the day you're going to be doing that. So it could be a little bit emotional because you're going to be decluttering more and more, even then, even so. So you could even feel a little bit emotional, as I mentioned, because of that new moon could trigger it. So with it being in Taurus, Taurus is all about being grounded. So if you're feeling a little off, go for like a nature walk. Nature is the best way to heal us. A quiet area. Unfortunately, the neighborhood I live in is not quiet. Delivery trucks nonstop. I'm around amazing shopping, like all the shopping places. I'm right here, you know, which is fantastic. However, I live in a very large building, so there's delivery trucks nonstop, beep, beep, beep. It's driving me crazy. I've never been a city person, as for those of you who know me. So really pay attention to this week, you guys, because it's a huge shift for you. Like the spirit world, your loved ones especially are going to be talking to you this week, in many different ways. It could be your animals as well. I communicate with my animals a lot, who have passed on. Still emotional because they're physically not here with me. Like even last night, I was in little tears over Nikita. Valentino was kind of sleeping, like beside me, and he just, he looked at me and he came over and he planted himself right on top of me. And so cute. But your animals do sense everything. They know your emotions. They see all of that. So let's pull a couple of cards. I don't use cards when I'm with a client because I'm clairvoyant, psychic medium, your past life akashic records, relationship coaching, medium, animal communicator, all of that. But this is collectively too on YouTube. So I'm going to pull a couple of cards. And I pull the decks that I'm getting pulled towards. Make sure you guys clear it as well. So let's see what the cards have to say. You're not going to resonate with it, all of you. But if you do, this card is definitely for you. So let me know. Let me know if this resonates with you. Like the videos, make some comments. So let's have a little chat with the fairies right now. Happily ever after the card fell out. So your long-term goals right now, as I talked about, like where your destiny is moving towards, focus on your long-term goals that's going to make you happy, that makes you happy, that's going to bring you peace. But oh my God, Jenny, how do I know? I could move away here and it could be disastrous. But what if it's not? What if it's not? Sometimes we have to take a chance. Like I'm a risk taker. I walk into the unknown. Whenever I get strongly pulled towards something, I gravitate towards that even more and more and more because that's your soul guiding you there. Oh, but I know I have to end my relationship, but pay attention to that. Sometimes we have to stay longer in a toxic relationship until we're ready to let go. There's been a lot of karmic situations coming up, even more so in relationships, especially friendships, business connections, all of that. Like I either know people forever or just a very short period of time. So May 9th to the 15th, what is the message from the spirit world? The message from the spirit world. The message from the spirit world from the 9th to the 15th. Message So you're really going to feel that pull, you guys. Just keep in mind, oh, we can't stay here anymore. I can't stay at my job anymore. Yeah, it's time to move on. Yeah, but, oh, like seriously, it's like, look what card fell out. Future. What was I just talking about? What was I just talking about? Your future, your destiny is being shown to you. Your loved ones this week could be pointing you towards your destiny, your future. Like, I don't know what messages your loved ones are going to be saying to you. If you book a reading with me, yes, I channel and tune into them and I can give you their messages. So just really pay attention this week. Like, always pay attention, but especially this week. Wow. Yeah, I love these cards. The spirit world, when it has a message, it's going to be showing to you. So let's pull a couple of cards here from here. This is like more of an earth magic deck. May 9th to the 15th. I'm here in the Big Island. Maybe I'll hear from my friend over there. That's why I'm hearing it. I have a friend over there. Oh, God. I'm going to. Okay, so it's funny. What did I just hear? Tusami or Big Island? Tusami. Not saying there's going to be a Tusami in the Big Island. I don't want to read into that. But it's like a wake-up call. We get a wake-up call with certain things, certain events. Red flags, please pay attention to. Really pay attention to that. What more of a wake-up call would that be? Wow. And actually, oh my God, I just saw this. There's a full moon behind here. Maybe the full moon, if you look back to the first, was a wake-up call for you. Maybe that was a warning. Maybe there's going to be like a tsunami somewhere on a full moon or a new moon. Oh my gosh. So, I don't like to read into disasters. Yes, I can see that. And I do that in my predictions video. Yes, my yearly predictions video. But certain things I don't like to read into because, of course, humanity has suffered enough from these so-called leaders. We don't need any more. Anyways, moving on. The 9th to the 15th, one last card here. Wow, right away this felt. The elephant. Elephant in the room. That's what I heard. Open yourself to true abundance. Archangels Mary and Raphael. How beautiful. I love elephants. I communicated with this elephant. After McTavish passed, I went to Hawaii. I went to the Honolulu Zoo on McTavish's birthday in memory of him and celebrated him. And I was sitting there and I'm just all teary-eyed. And an elephant, I looked over at him and we locked eyes and he comes walking over to me, and the message he gave me, like, it was so profound, so profound. I'm not going to talk about it. I'll get teary-eyed, but our animals are very sacred. No matter what animal you have, there's messages there from them to you. Wow. Wow. So anyways, make sure you guys like my channel, subscribe to it, follow me on Instagram, Jenny G Cousins. I will follow you back. I'm all over social media. You want to book a reading with me, soulworkwithjennyg.com. Namaste, you guys.